Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a horror comedy from New Zealand, English language, released in the year 2014, directed by Jermaine Clement and Taha Waititi, and this movie is called What We Do in the Shadows. So What We Do in the Shadows is a mockumentary about this documentary crew who are following a family of vampires. Now these vampires have been around for hundreds of years, they're living in this old house, and they want someone just to document their life to show them what being a vampire is all about. So they go along, they show that they're doing chores. They wake up at 6 o'clock at night every night because obviously they can't be around in the sun. So you've got the traditional sort of vampire values, but it shows you the family dynamics of them. It's kind of like a dysfunctional family. They've got chores they have to do, they don't like doing the chores. They go out at night and they go to nightclubs, they meet new people, they meet some werewolves. And so it's basically a documentary of a family as they go about their business, but they just happen to be vampires. So along the way, they start to run into some problems that threaten to destroy the family from the inside, and it also puts the documentary filmmakers in a lot of danger as well. So what that danger is, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on What We Do in the Shadows. New Zealand have been making some really memorable horror comedies of late, and another movie that comes to mind is Housebound. Now I haven't seen Housebound yet, but that has some high recognition as being a great horror comedy. And then you've got films like Black Sheep, of course you've got the Peter Jackson splatter films of Bad Taste and Brain Dead. So New Zealand have a rich history in horror comedies, and I think that when they do it well, it is the best that you can have. It's just something about the humour. Now if you don't like this type of humour, maybe it won't be for you, but for me, I just think it blends in a lot of different types of humour. Humour based on script, humour on slapstick, people falling over. So they have, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Scandinavian humour, where it's not just one style of humour, it's quite a few mixed in together. So What We Do in the Shadows, I had massive expectations based on the fact that this nation has a rich history in horror comedies, and I can say that What We Do in the Shadows is an absolutely brilliant horror comedy. I absolutely love this film, and I would highly recommend it to anyone out there who is a fan of this particular style of film. Now to start off with, it is a mockumentary, and it actually feels like they're just actually documenting just a family of vampires. And there's a quote on the box of this film, on the cover of the film, that says, "It does for vampires what This Is Spinal Tap did for music." And I can understand that. It actually has kind of This Is Spinal Tap approach, in that it wants to be serious, but there's a very light-hearted approach about it. Now obviously a light-hearted approach on vampires, and it does show you the vampire sort of mythology. They can't be out in the sunlight, they have to be welcomed in when they when they go to nightclubs. They can't just walk in, they have to be welcomed in. So they use the mythology to a really funny level, and I just thought it worked so well. Now this could have fallen flat if the humour wasn't there, if the script wasn't very good, if the characters weren't very good. But the makers of Flight of the Conchords, which is a great television series, they made this film, and it shows you that these guys are really comfortable in the comedy genre because it works supremely well. Now the actors do a great job at portraying their lines. It wouldn't work if the characters' reactions weren't what they were, so they needed really good actors to portray these characters, and they do a fantastic job. I thought the vampires were great. I think the werewolves steal the show. The really funny stuff starts to kick in when the werewolves are introduced. Once again, it got the werewolf mythology, but it's just played upon where it's really, really funny. There's a little bit of horror in there. There's a bit of blood and guts, so if you like that kind of thing, it's very few and far between, and it's very light-hearted. Now, the comedy and the horror approach, I've said in other films with horror comedies that it's either too funny or too scary. They don't have a fine blend. In this movie, there is a blend, but I think it's more funny than it is horror, but it's just that funny that it doesn't really matter in this case. So I love the documentary sort of camera approach, but don't worry, it's not so much a found footage film. It is a movie that actually feels like a genuine documentary. I thought there was some absolutely hilarious moments in this film that worked. As I said, there has the mythology of the vampire, but it just plays it upon that is very entertaining. There's also a little bit of zombie there. There's a ball at the end, there's a party at the end that invites the undead, and I thought it was really, really well done. And as I said, the Flight of the Conchords creators made this film, and it does show you that they're very comfortable in what they're doing. And I thought the cinematography in the film was very good. It showed a very seedy life of Auckland, which is a city in New Zealand. I thought it captured the seediness of it, but it had to be seedy because, you know, you're dealing with vampires. So along the way, there is a little bit of violence, but the script is really, really good. The humour is expertly done, and this is a case of a horror comedy matching up to the hype. New Zealand is a front runner at the moment of horror comedies. I can't wait to check out Housebound because I've heard some pretty good things about that. So if you like Housebound and you want to see another really good horror comedy, then What We Do in the Shadows was absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute of it, and as a result of that, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.